friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
one guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about
Godzilla!
and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Cass and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Odo Island. Welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Find us on Twitter at Odo Island Pod. I'm Kess, and with me as always is the best cliffhanger gameplay I've ever seen, Slick. Price is right for you, pal.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've played that game once. So, we're not talking about the Sylvester Stallone SNES game.
No, I'm talking about.
No, we're talking about
the price is right.
Yes,
game.
yes. That took me a second there. I mean, yeah, you're damn right. Probably have played that, some variation of that at Foxwoods. Actually, that's not true. I did play that once at Foxwoods. I went to a live showing of The Price is Right, or a live show of The Price is Right at Foxwoods once, years and years and years ago. It was not the, it was a touring ensemble, not the who's the host?
Drew Carey.
No, back in the day.
Oh, that was Bob Barker.
Yeah, you're not getting a Bob Barker on this. You were getting some guy who had 15 minutes on E.
All right.
All right, well, that was a random intro.
This week we are going to Europe for the second time to discuss Troll Hunters. But first, I believe you had something you had to get off your chest.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to rant about this. I mean, I think we are trying to be the official Godzilla Battle Line mobile game podcast. We're not there yet. We are not endorsed. But by hell or high water, I will make sure that we are, and I assume I listen to a lot of Godzilla podcasts. I don't hear anybody else talking about this game every week.
You're like the Fuego del Sol of this game.
That's right. That's right. So I have been enjoying the game. The game does have its flaws. Every time they have a massive update, chances are they also introduce a whole bunch of new bugs that will really piss you off for a day. But hey, they fix them really quick.
Just like Westworld.
I haven't seen that, so I don't get that reference.
You don't know what the Reveries are?
Nope, haven't watched Westworld.
You would love Westworld.
I probably would. On the to-do list. But so, overall, I think it's become a very, very good, fun game. But they had a voting campaign as to what was going to be a new piece that they introduced to the game. So they introduced new kaiju all the time, not all the time, but here and there. But they wanted to have a big one for Godzilla Day, which is November 3rd, because the first Godzilla movie came out November 3rd, 1954, outside of it releasing in Run Providence on October 27th, 1954, but it's neither here nor there. And so it was a fan vote. And
I voted.
Yep. And we tried to use the power of the Podcast Moto Island Twitter account, that giant social media behemoth. It's a couple hundred followers to get Varan into the game.
A couple is accurate.
A couple is accurate. I told no lies. To get Varan into the game, it's because the game right now, I know you haven't played it, so to kind of give you a lay of the land, it's there's a lot of Godzillas. You currently have Godzilla 2021, Godzilla Ultima, Godzilla 1989. You get the 90s Mechagodzilla, and Space Godzilla is also in the game.
Okay.
So that's a lot. I mean, there's other pieces too, but you get King Caesar and Jet Jaguar and Kong's in the game and stuff. And but it's very Godzilla top heavy. So I was like, all right, we got to vote for somebody a little bit different here.
Yeah.
We need to get a little bit more variety going in here. And what do you all do out there, all of you that voted? We get Kiryu.
Yep.
Yeah, which, that's Kiryu is really cool.
Yeah.
I like those movies, but Kiryu is the original Godzilla in a mecha suit. That's what it is. The original Godzilla's bones in a mecha suit. And there's already a Mecha Godzilla.
Them bones, them dry bones.
So that was first place. But then they also posted the results for the remainder of the top 5. And second place, Godzilla Earth. Third place, Burning Godzilla, Godzilla 95. Fourth place, Godzilla 1954. Fifth place, Mecha King Ghidorah.
Ah, my boy.
What are you guys doing? Like, it's we need some variety.
Yeah,
in this game.
you don't need it to be just Godzilla's. Like
Gosh.
I voted for Mecha King Ghidorah strictly because of my devotion to him and Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. But you know, 4 versions of Godzilla rounding out the top 5 is kind of a bit much.
It's a bit much.
You can't have like a Biolante in there. You can't have a
So Biolante is already in the game.
Oh, okay. Is Destroy in the game?
Just the larvae.
Okay. The final form is the form.
But here's the thing with the game is that like some of the like Rodan's in the game, Hedorah's in the game, Batra's in the game, Mothra's in the game, but like Soma and like Mogira, the 50s version of Mogira is in the game, but like the really overpowered characters are the Godzilla characters. King Ghidorah is like a very overpowered character. And I was like, we just don't need 3 more Godzillas just making being super overpowered.
Yeah.
But they do a good job of
What about their doo-doo?
their doo-doo. They do so well. One thing I do appreciate is they kind of break the game up into seasons. And so at the end of a 30-day season, they kind of they'll boost certain pieces and kind of nerf the others. So
Okay.
you do get a nice little balance as you're going season to season, but still a lot of fucking Godzillas.
Yeah. It'd be nice if you got Varan in there though.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're just not putting those characters in.
I feel like they're all just ultimately going to make it in, but they want to make it sounds like they want to make a big deal of November 3rd, which I appreciate. I appreciate the fan voting.
And maybe that's why Godzilla is getting a lot of the vote, because it's Godzilla Day,
I mean, I guess he's in the game 3 fucking times already.
Well, in other Godzilla video game news, I've discovered that GTA 5 or online has Godzilla mods.
You
now.
showed me this, yeah.
And it looks like he's a little bit shorter than he should be, but it still looks awesome. And he has the burning Godzilla power that he can get to, and it looks like a nuclear bomb goes off. The entire entire screen turns orange and dark and stuff. He has his ray that he can blast stuff. If they put this in its own actual game where you can destroy your surroundings better, GTA, the way it's built up is not, you can't really destroy the city. But if they made the game based off something like this where you could destroy the city, this is the Godzilla game that you want.
Well, seeing that GTA Online or GTA 5 or whatever has basically been running nonstop since its appearance on PS3. I'm just thinking we're heading towards a future where the base of all video games in the future is going to be GTA 5. So, you might get it's going to be our version of the Matrix where all of our video games are just living in a GTA 5 created world.
Whoa. I love GTA 5. I think it's an awesome game. I have it for Xbox One. I got an Xbox One pretty much to get that game so I could play it in first person mode. Not driving around, I have that in third person.
Yeah.
But when I'm out in the streets, I'm this is way better than third
You are
person.
living in the Matrix.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I'm going to say about Godzilla Battle Line is we're talking through it and I'm getting a little I feel a little whipped up about all that, is that I think I'm going to continue the Varan voting campaign on our Twitter and on this podcast. And I am just going to keep rattling that cage.
Squeaky wheel gets the oil.
I am the voice. I'm not the voice of the voiceless. I'm the voice of the unbelievable. I am the voice of Varan. I am going to rattle that cage until we get him.
You are the
game.
Voice of the so awesome it will shock you to the core.
Exactly. So you heard it here first. I am going to put some effort into keeping that voting campaign alive.
All right, cool. And also in the GTA 5 mod, there's a Shin Godzilla, but it looks terrible.
No, that's a bummer.
And he has the same powers, basically. But they got the sound effect right, so he does have the destroy a beam sound effect.
I saw some mod of Super Smash Brothers where somebody dumped Shin Godzilla in, and that model looked awesome. That was I saw it maybe 6-7 months ago. That was pretty sweet.
Well, check that out. But without further ado, let's get into it. Troll Hunter.
Yep, Troll Hunter indeed.
So we've been saying this for the past couple weeks. you normally set the table for this sort of stuff, but since I sort of told you about this movie and picked it, so I'm not setting a table. What I'm doing is I'm taking a nice blanket and a basket. We're going outside and we're having a nice little picnic.
All right. Let's unwrap those sandwiches.
So let me just bring that up. My phone likes to turn sideways on me. So came out in 2010, and it's a quote unquote found footage mockumentary.
Sure.
So that's the style. Tying on into your belt, which is the style at the time. A lot of movies made like this. And the big actor in this one is a comedian named Otto Jespersen.
Is that who plays Hans?
Hans, yes.
The troll hunter, yeah.
He's the troll hunter. Basically, long story short, it's about trolls actually existing in Norway and a secret government like shadow campaign about it. So it's kind of dark, but still kind of funny too. Like it's very quirky. We'll discuss the plot a bit more, but basically the way this was received was like critically, like most people loved it. Like especially in domestically in Norway, it was like given like best movie. We have our own franchise now, and like this, like there was pretty much praised universally, except for one major reviewer who was like, "Eh."
I did see like one I don't know article or something. It was like one critic had said this is like the latest Norwegian classic, to which I said, yes. What was the first? Which I'm sure there is something.
Right.
It was just out of context. It was kind of funny.
Right. And that's what I was sort of alluding to was just like, oh, people really loved it. Like filming of this movie took place in Norway, and the actors said it was exhausting and miserable.
Oh, really? Really? Because I watched this movie, I was like, what a fucking... I mean, I always knew it was a beautiful country, but boy, seeing it like this, I was like, holy shit.
And there are actually cultural references. Basically, shots of this movie were designed to look exactly like paintings, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I'll explain it to the listener. But like you can see the paintings, and you can think back to like when Hans is like looking off into the valley and stuff.
Right.
So the painting I'm talking about is Soria Maria Castle by Theodore Kisselson. And like so basically they took like famous art pieces and like recreated them in the movie, just as like a little Easter egg. This movie won awards too, including a Fangoria Best Foreign Language Film for 2012.
Well, Fangoria is a very reputable long-running horror and kaiju movie magazine. So
that's why I wanted to bring that one specifically up. It won other awards too, but that was like the one award that kind of caught my eye, and I was like,
Yeah.
So a lot of people the general consensus is that for the most part, people say this is good. It has 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very high for that site.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, maybe just a tad higher than this movie really should be at.
Is that higher than The Last Jedi? I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I personally don't hate The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I don't mind it either.
Like, it's just kind of
Rise of Skywalker is the only one I couldn't fucking stand. But
like, I think The Last Jedi just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth for the Rise of Skywalker. And then as I was watching The Rise of Skywalker, I was like, oh yeah, this fan service is awesome. And then as I was leaving, I was kind of like, there's a lot of confusing stuff about this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It started with such promise, that trilogy.
I did not like how they didn't have the balls to go forward with killing Chewbacca. They immediately retconned it. I was just kind of like, no risk. You cowards, except the other word for cowards.
Is that a GVK reference when they're doing the sign language and he's like, yo, you're brave, but really it's coward?
Not exactly, but sure. I was saying something by not saying it.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to make the GVK reference. It was too good of a setup.
But yeah, this movie basically shot super cheap on shaky cam stuff. And most of the students are unknown actors who are just like new and
interesting.
Yeah, but like they had like more recognizable comedian actors for some of the other roles, like especially within the government.
Yeah.
And actually at the end of the movie, they took actual footage of the then like president or prime minister of Norway, and he was talking about like something to do with like a troll like named area, like a troll bridge, like just the name only, you know.
Yeah.
And they kind of edited it to where president was saying like acknowledging the existence of trolls.
Yeah,
which is like what the government is like trying to hide in this movie.
That was fantastic. That gave me a big chuckle.
So that's pretty much like the humor of the movie is like that sort of like dry humor, like it's not going to offend you, but it's going to still make you giggle a little bit.
Yeah.
And the last thing I will say about this movie was that Christopher Columbus's 1492 production company acquired the rights to remake this movie, but as of 2016, that was canceled.
I don't think it needs to be remade.
I could like. There are certain like Korean-made horror movies that got American remakes, but they're pretty much the exact same movie.
Yeah,
I think that's what they were going for because that was kind of the style at the time with the horror movies. And as of 2016, they canceled it. They're like, we're not going to do this. So this movie is good enough to stand on its own as is.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think it would have got wider appeal, especially in America, with American actors.
Yeah,
in English.
Yeah, I feel like it probably would have lost some. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of heart in this movie, and I always just kind of think when you remake it, you just kind of lose.
It could be well done, like how
bit,
America remade The Office, and it was like perfect how they translated it over.
Sure,
Or it could be like something where it just loses all its like cultural relevance. That was not easy for me to say.
You're drinking class tonight.
Yeah, I'm completely sober. I've just been speaking all day at work. So I'm kind of tired of it. So
gotcha.
That's the end of the picnic. I hope you enjoyed the first ever Odo Island picnic.
The Kess picnic.
But yeah, let's talk about the movie. So I've seen it 4 times now, I think.
I've just seen it just this
once.
Yeah.
So what are your initial impressions of this? Maybe some ruled, some sucked?
So I overall liked it. I don't really have anything. Well, I think the only broader critique I think I have of it is that, like, I said this to you offline, is that like I thought it was a little bit long in the second half of the movie.
So many movies are like this.
Yeah, but overall I was like, so it's funny, like, until you told me and we were recording our last episode that it was a found footage movie. Like, I had so little idea what this movie was that if you didn't say that, I had no clue. Like, I would have had no clue going into it because, like I've always heard this movie existed, and I always kind of heard like good things about it. Like, I never heard much about it, but like, it's just not what I thought it was. I actually thought it was like a horror movie or something like that.
Oh, gotcha. Like Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Ernest Goes to Hell. And so, but yeah, I was like, I really liked having a movie like this that I could go in completely blind to, not knowing like anything about it. I didn't like really know like where it was gonna go in like the first like 20 minutes, and then like when it kind of twists and Hans is kind of like, and he's like, I'm letting you film me because I've been doing this job for way too long and I'm just tired of this shit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like I felt that. I heard that.
So yeah, Hans' character is basically, he is a troll hunter, but it's like part of a shadow organization, and he's sort of like a cleanup.
Oh, he's part of the government.
Yeah,
he's not.
But it's like a shadow part of the government. It's not like they're called. They basically
TSS or whatever it was.
They basically changed it from troll attacks to bear attacks.
Right, and they do like a really shitty job of it. Where
yes.
It's like I will say, I don't know if it was supposed to be a joke or not. Those dead bears looked awful.
Yeah,
they looked like something you would rent at like a costume store.
Well, I think that's the idea, is to make them look bad, so it's like people are questioning it, like what the hell is this bear doing here?
Yeah, I was like, that was like one of the first like tonal things in the movie that I was like, wait, is this supposed to be like funny or is this supposed to be serious? Yeah. And then like it kind of blends. I wouldn't call this. I don't know if I would call it a dark comedy. I feel like it's not comedic enough to be.
No, I would call it more of a sci-fi action adventure movie with like comedic parts to it.
Yeah,
And it's just shot in a similar way to like Cloverfield, where it's like, but this is like an actual like student film crew doing it, so that explains the shittiness of the camera stuff.
Right. And also their bending of fucking, well, I don't know what the laws are in Norway, but like at one point where they're just like kind of camping out in front of like Hans's camper, and then like they go like run and they like plant a microphone and like they bug it like under his camper. They start listening to his conversations. I was like, that's probably highly fucking illegal. Like, you probably can't be doing that. I was like, and at first I was like, are they reporters? Then I was like, oh, they're college kids.
Yeah.
Dumb fucking college kids.
Dumb college kids who quickly find themselves in over their head. But thankfully they have like Norway's version of Van Helsing there to save them. And like, yeah, like you said, like he eventually just gets sick of, he's like on the boat and he's just like staring off into the ocean. He's just like, you could tell he's just like older and beaten down by his job, and he doesn't see the value in it anymore.
Yeah.
Like he keeps on killing these things, and he's just kind of like, what does it all mean?
Yeah.
You know, he's listening to his Depressed Thoughts CD.
Yeah.
But like, basically like the three students in this movie, making this movie, they're very, very committed to hounding Hans about this. Yes. More committed than I've ever seen anyone over anything else in my life.
Yeah, yes. Like he turns them down like a million times, and they just follow him and follow him and follow him for like it seems like weeks.
Yeah, until he finally invites them into his life, and it's like immediate regret.
Yeah.
Like a troll like off screen flips their car, so they have to ride with him now. And eventually they get to the forest where they see their first troll. And it's revealed that the like trolls are like sort of like feral creatures, like almost rabid like.
Right. Well, yeah, well they're stricken with rabies, but yeah, like they're predator creatures, yeah.
So they basically can detect the blood of Christians and they just kill any human that they see or come in contact with basically on sight because they're like rabid and feral.
Yeah.
But here are the names of the different troll types in this movie, because I thought they were pretty hilarious. You have cave trolls and forest trolls, but then you have a troll called Tusselad, and I think that's the first troll we encounter.
With the 3 heads?
Yeah, or maybe it's our Ringelfinch, and then you have Dovregruben, and then finally the Jotner.
Yeah.
But the 3-headed troll is the first one you see, and they explain it like, as the trolls grow older, they grow more heads.
And like they're not really heads; they're just more like intimidation appendages, basically. Right. And I was like, so like that's like the sort of shit that I loved about this movie. It was like ridiculous shit like that is just said so straight, so serious, and you're just like, okay, fucking fantastic, that's great. Yeah, I love it that like this random veterinarian is like. Yeah, well, you know, they grow like the other two. Don't think of them as like heads. They're like intimidation things. Like, you know. And I was like, and they're just like so serious. And I was like, I think I like was like saying it's like singular point, and the same logic applies in singular point that it does here. Because I had to make a singular point reference, I guess. It was like, I don't have to like, you know, understand what you're saying, but if you say it like, if the character believes it enough and says it seriously enough, and it's a topic that I don't know anything about, like Norwegian trolls, like, then I go, I'm on board. I am just going to believe you, and I'm going to follow you. And I was on board with the 3 heads.
Yeah.
The intimidation heads.
Well, I just think it's good that they gave like immediate like variety. Like there's different subspecies of trolls. It's not just one that lives under a bridge.
I wish I could grow intimidation heads.
Me too.
One would just have its tongue sticking out the whole time.
That'd be a cool power to have.
You know, it'd be like a Quintesson from Transformers.
But like when we first do encounter this troll for the first time, you get to the point where it's your basic found footage horror movie at this point.
Yeah.
Like you're tripping through the woods, like you're clumsy, you're breathing heavy, like close calls. Like it was all pretty much your standard fare. It was all done also at night too, so it's in the night vision mode.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I was anticipating jump scares non-fucking stop in this movie, and I hate jump scares. I'm not good with them, and I never got any.
Yeah, I don't think there were. You could see, like, the tension was building, like, you could see the trolls coming, and that was where you got the tension from, or you could hear them first, and then you saw them.
Right.
So you had fair warning in this movie.
If this was, like, remade for, like, American audiences, it would still fucking jump scares. and I would have been very upset. I
I'm
would have been
okay-
very distraught.
I'm okay with like one jump scare in a movie, but like any more than that, and like it's a crutch.
I'm a big coward. I'm not a fan.
If it's a horror movie and you get one, that's sort of like if you're adult male, you get one cry in life. So,
what if my one cry comes from a jump scare?
I would say you used it poorly.
I can't watch any more horror movies.
Like, you gotta use your one cry at like important moments, like when CM Punk returns to wrestling. That dude chose well.
Yeah.
I would say using it a jump scare, poor choice. But anyway, male crying, male tears, the rarest kind. But then eventually the three-headed troll comes out in full view, and you can see him for the first time. And this is a low-budget movie, so you don't get a lot of special effects. But you see him, and he's immediately turned to stone by the lights on the vans, which are like sun UV lights.
Yeah.
So that's how you kill these trolls. You turn them to stone.
And I thought the way they did the trolls to kind of make up like the lack of budget for like big special effects. I thought it was done well. Definitely doing like at night and doing like the night vision thing. That was definitely like a way to make those trolls look better, I assume.
That's the legendary Godzilla way.
Yeah. But
except for GVK.
I thought they looked good. And I didn't even think it was that bad. There was like a couple scenes with like that three-headed troll that were like a little like janky looking and stuff, but at the same time, like, it wasn't that bad, and especially when you consider like the money they had and what was available to them.
Yeah.
They did it right.
The low budget European special effects of this movie exceed probably expectations.
Although, you know what I kept thinking too was like, remember like that shitty all CGI Beowulf movie?
I like that movie.
But like everything here that looked better than oh my god, the queen's like troll son's name, the evil queen character.
Oh,
Grendel.
Grendel, yeah.
Yeah, like I thought everything looked better than that.
That was such a weird, like he was just a misshapen dragon human thing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think I was going to reference Beowulf in this movie, but here we go.
You know why you can't kill me? Because I died a long time ago.
God, that movie.
Best part of that movie is John Malkovich.
Yeah. Well, we'll do an episode on that someday. Not anytime soon.
Yeah, there are giant sea serpents in that movie.
Yeah, when we're really scraping the well, we'll do that one.
We still get Rampage. We got to do that way before we do Beowulf.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh no, we can do that anytime. But I thought the other trolls outside of the three-headed one, I thought looked a lot better. I thought.
So you got basically they're following the crew is following this Hans guy, and eventually they get to this bridge where they find another troll, and it's like true to the stories of the troll living under the bridge type of thing. And they basically just like at first Hans gets like he's wearing like an all armor suit,
his Monty Python armor.
Yeah, and he just gets decimated by him. And you see the troll and he has like one arm.
Yeah.
So he's like been in a fight before, basically. But yeah, he's fine. So he comes back and they basically just blows up the troll under the bridge.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of a lull, and the crew finds like this cave with like a troll cave, but then they all come back to the cave and they're basically trap them in. And throughout this whole movie, they're wondering why like the trolls can like sense them so well and smells because they're asked earlier like trolls can smell the blood of Christians, and they're asked, "Are any of you Christian?" Not all of them shake their head. And then finally, the kid holding the camera is like, "I'm Christian," and immediately the trolls are like,
"Yeah, like yeah."
Like, so basically, they're trying to escape, and they're trapped. And 3 of the 4 get out. The kid holding the camera, who's the Christian, gets eaten and killed.
Well, I liked how with him they were like, he like when they're like stuck in the cave, like so like they've already set like Hans has a whole bunch of like this like sap of like troll piss and other bodily fluids. That's the troll stench you rub on to mask it.
Yeah.
And he's like sitting there and he's like, give me more of that troll stench. And he keeps like just like furiously rubbing it on himself. And he's like freaking out. And then he's like, then he confesses that he's Christian. And he's like, don't fucking start sweating. Or like whatever it was. And then like, it was just like, that was the shit that was like funny when Hans is like, the first time he brings up like the Christian blood.
Yeah.
He just like, they're about to go in the woods and he's like, "Who you a Christian?" And I was like that was random. Then I realized I was like, all right, we're gonna get some really fucking silly lore going on here.
Yeah.
And I was like, sign me up for this. I like when that stuff started happening, I said, I'm 100% on board for whatever's going down. And then when he's like rubbing the shit all over him, and he's like, I'm Christian. And he's like, well, don't start sweating. And I was like,
So yeah, he basically gives them away, and they all escape except for him. He gets eaten, and then like they're all like outside, just like shocked at, but he's just like, why didn't he just tell us he was Christian?
yeah, right.
But like he just wanted to see it through, I guess, more than he wanted, because I there was probably parts of where he was just disbelieving it,
Right.
So he's immediately replaced, and they move on.
Yeah, it's like they barely like. It's just like how like they barely. Well, at first it was like I almost like was thrown off because like the very beginning of the movie, like the guy holding the camera was so like not involved that there was like one point that I was like, wait, I even said, like, who's holding the camera? I feel like it's just like the guy and the girl just interacting, and I feel like they're not even talking to whoever's holding the camera.
Right.
And then like you saw him like a handful of times, like here and there. But then like yeah, when the replacement comes in, like it's like they like she just pops off the train. She goes, "Oh, we're here to film some oxen, right?" And they're like, "Well, no." And then but then also like she barely becomes
right. She's the person
factor.
holding the camera at that point.
Oh, we haven't touched on how the main college kid dude got scratched by one of the trolls early in the movie, and like he keeps getting like kind of like sicker and sicker throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's where they have to visit the vet, and because he has rabies.
Right, and I kept like expecting it to be like Cloverfield, where I thought he was gonna have like the parasite him and like burst and explode
or become a troll.
Yeah, oh, that's like what I was thinking too. I was like, he's going to turn into a troll.
Because that's what I was. That's
how they keep making more trolls. They scrape them and turn them into trolls.
Yeah,
I was like,
but then it was just like, nope, you just have rabies.
And he's like, I don't have rabies. But then as soon as they told me he has rabies, he was like, oh shit, I guess I have rabies. And he started feeling like he had rabies.
Yeah, that happened. But like, the rest of the movie is like that the girl who takes over for the holding the camera, and like the two college kids are just 1000% bought in, and like they know it's real, and and she's like, now they have this new person who's just like, no, it isn't, nuh-uh. And they're just like, no, it's like, yeah.
I mean, you could just show her the old footage, and they could also be like, the dude you replaced like got eaten.
I don't think they, would, if you needed a new camera person and the last person got eaten, would you tell them?
I don't know. Looking at how remote that shit was, I'd be like, yeah, I'll tell you. Like, where else are you gonna go right now? It was like it looks like there's like one train in and out of Norway, and it looks like what I got from this movie is that Norway's beautiful, and there's like one train that like runs through the whole country, and it looks like it comes by like once a month.
Yeah.
So like you're kind of stuck. I mean, what are you gonna do? And there's random cabins out in the middle of like snowy fields that you can just post up in and be stuck there.
Speaking of that random cavern, house in the middle of the snowy field, basically they get word that there's like a Jotner that's
like the giant one.
That's basically like a 50-meter tall troll. And so it's loose in this like remote area where they have like the fencing like very in the street like awkwardly made, and like someone has noticed like, why is it like this? And they're just like, oh, whatever. And then no real good explanation, but then you discover it's because the Jotners are there and they're trying to like, keep them fenced in, and when one of them breaks out, that's how they know. So one of them breaks out, and you see this thing from afar, and it's just enormous. And so basically they try to they're like, all right, well, we have to go kill this thing. Like, good luck to us, I guess.
Yeah.
They drive out there, and like the van, because it's snowy, the van like fails them basically, so he can't flash its lights.
Beam,
yeah. So basically they're trying to escape this thing that's just like about to kill them, and they knock the van over. Like the Jotner knocks the van over. There's a really cool scene where it's like driving underneath the troll.
Oh yeah, that's where the whole budget went. Yeah, by that scene right there.
So the whole budget's in this part of the movie. And eventually they Hans basically tells them, was like, get out, like that's how you get out of here. And he basically looks like he sacrifices himself, quote unquote, to kill the Jotner. He basically fires like a UV beam rocket into it.
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck was that rocket for the rest of the movie?
Yeah. It's like the ending of Resident Evil 2. It throws him the rocket. And so then like he kind of just disappears off on his own again.
Yeah.
Never to be seen or heard from again. So
right, because we didn't really touch on that, like the government agency, the TSS that Hans works for, has kind of been like present through like the whole movie, and
Right.
like and the main guy that Hans like reports to or works with is like pissed that he has like this like film crew like following around, and every time like he pops up, he's like, hey, so you ain't gonna get away with that camera footage. And like again, like knowing nothing about this movie, like so after this part, like where Hans kind of wanders off into the snow to kind of start a new life or do whatever it is he's gonna do. Like then they're like, oh wait, we gotta start like walking to town now, and you see like the vans like pulling up from the TSS, and and I was like, oh, they're just gonna get out. Like I just figured like what the ending was gonna be was like the TSS was gonna just show up and shoot them all.
Yeah.
And then like the rabid college kid, which I guess I'll just call him now. Like he goes taking off, like running towards like the highway while he's holding the camera.
Right.
And I kept waiting, going like, you're gonna hear gunshots in the back. We're gonna hear gunshots in the back, and it's your friend's getting killed. And I was like, that's gonna be really fucked up, which doesn't happen.
Nope.
But then he just kind of like collapses, and does he get hit by a truck? Does he not get hit by a truck? I don't know. The camp that just kind of cuts out.
I think they basically play it like they caught him.
That's why I took it too. I took it as like he just finally collapsed from the rabies, and then they just caught up to them, and then they have like locked those kids away somewhere.
Yeah,
those shitty, annoying college kids locked away.
Yeah. So that's basically the end of this movie. They kill,
or fed him to trolls. I don't know.
Yeah, they capture the kids, and they're not a problem anymore. And Hans is off doing his thing.
Not saving those kids.
Yeah. And the government kind of just wins out, but then like I said, there's like a post, like during the credits they have this like scene where the president of Norway is like, yeah, trolls are real.
Yep.
And the press is like, what?
It would have been great if like the unofficial follow-up to this was like they took those kids and they dumped them in the woods that like the Blair Witch is filmed in, and all they did was dump them in that woods with like one camera. And this is actually a prequel to the Blair Witch. Yeah,
well, one of the movies this movie is compared to a lot is the Blair Witch, and it's like Norway was trying to call it like their Blair Witch.
Yeah, I definitely got like I got more vibes of this feeling like Blair Witch than I did like Cloverfield or something like that.
Yeah,
like yes, it had shaky cam, but like not like Cloverfield style shaky cam.
It also was not nearly as like horror centric as as Blair Witch.
Yeah, I think it did some. It did some things I think were more similar to Blair Witch, where it's like you got a lot of time of just like the human characters kind of putting like the camera like on themselves and just kind of like talking, and then like but like the trolls aren't used as sparingly as like the Blair Witch is used in the Blair Witch. But it was good too. Like when it's like they had like that scene towards the end of the movie where like. They're kind of filming Hans, and he talks about how like he went on some like mission in like the 70s or 80s, and he's like, he goes, I had a reminded me of like Anakin in like Star in Attack of the Clones, where he's like, I murdered them, but not just the men, the women and the children. When he talks about like basically like massacring a bunch of like trolls.
Padme doesn't dump him after that.
No, she doesn't.
Not a deal breaker for Padme.
No, I guess she can live with a lot of sin. But Hans was like, when he has like that sort of moment, he has his like Anakin Skywalker, Tusken Raider moment, and I was like, it was like that's pretty good. It was like Hans does seem like kind of like
it's a pretty deep character. Like, when it's not just like he's not just like a one note like quiet like silent hermit who's doing this. He's like there's a lot of layers to Hans.
Which I was glad, because I almost thought at first I thought he was going to be like way too silent.
Yeah. And
I was like, I don't need this guy just like turning around and like staring at these college kids and like walking away like 20 times. But I was glad when he started, like we needed to start to film him and he started to like really like open up.
Yeah.
Or just talk more. Shouldn't say open up really, but like, I was like, all right, that's good. That's good. And
and he's like the expert, so he educates you as the movie goes, because the audience is just like, what are the fucking rules for this movie? That's what Hans there. He's sort of like your companion to walk you through the movie.
Yeah, I should have like looked up like Norwegian troll fairy tales, because I'm sure there's a million references that went over our head, like where they're like, what if he challenges you to an eating contest? And like I'm sure that's like something like Norwegian folktale that like we just don't know about. But yeah, no, I thought Hans was was cool. I don't know. When I look at movies like this, I also like wonder like how much of it is like improv versus like how much is scripted. And I feel like, you know, when you kind of reference that like a lot of the other actors were like kind of unknown actors.
Yeah.
But like that dude Hans is like a big comedian in Norway.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet like a lot of his stuff like was probably like improv. And I bet like they probably just like filmed a lot of stuff and improv'd a lot of it. And I mean, that's what it felt like, especially when they were in the car. I felt like that was like probably all like improv type stuff. But I don't know. Just guessing.
Good eye. Yeah. But yeah, that should wrap up our. I don't really have much more to say about Troll Hunter.
Yeah, same. No.
So let's rank it. 1 is a jobber, 5 is a main eventer, 2, 3, and 4 are various layers of mid cards. This is not a 1 or a 2, and it is not a 5. But I am torn between giving this a 3 and a 4. I'm more leaning towards a 3 just because I wish, you know, this is a low budget movie, so I should be kinder to it. But at the same time, I just wish there was more troll stuff going on, and like they could have had a bigger budget to like really bring them to life and like make it more of a reality. Whereas here it was like more of like the Jaws type of thing, where it's like they don't show you the whole thing; they show you just a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards a 3 for me, just a standard mid-carder. I think it's worth a watch for anyone who's into these types of movies, because it's so different from all of, like the Japanese style movies.
Yeah,
that like if you're looking for something new and a little different, I would say Troll Hunter. If you've never seen it, absolutely recommend it.
Yeah.
3 or 4. I think there's just too much holding it back from being like better, so I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah, no, I'm solidly a 3.
Yeah.
You know, it's too bad well, not too bad, but I mean, like, I can't help but compare it to From Howl Beyond the Fog, coming right off, doing that like the other week and going like watching that, going like, oh my god, like I'm like, this is like a kaiju movie that is like living art.
Yes.
And I thought this movie was good.
Yeah.
But
it's a popcorn movie.
Howl from Beyond the Fog, it is not.
Yeah, that's an art piece. So.
Yeah, and again, like I don't have any like real complaints about it, other than again, I thought so. It's an hour and 45 minutes, and I feel like in the second hour, I feel like you get a lot. You probably get about like 20 minutes. It's just a lot of like, well, here's the map. We're gonna drive to this part of the map.
Yeah,
you know, and then we're gonna kind of do some stuff that doesn't really do it. It's like just like quick, like kind of cuts of them, just kind of like pit stopping in like random places.
Yeah.
And, dialogue that does not really progress anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could trim. There was like a point where I was like, all right, I'm just waiting for you to get to what we all kind of know is going to happen at this point. And like what you're doing is not really fleshing anything out. And so, but even with that 20 minutes shoved out, like, I think it's just, it's a nice like novelty film.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was very good.
Film is a good way to call it.
It's a nice like little diversion from the norm.
Yeah.
I would love to know what another Norwegian classic is, because I want to know. Does that mean all 3-star movies are Norwegian classics? I hope not. No, I thought it was good. You know, I mean, it makes me want to go to Norway. I mean, it succeeds on that front, I'll tell you.
I just think like the found footage thing, like. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest.
It can only get you so far.
Yeah, I find it more grating to watch these types of movies. I think this movie's good enough to where I can get past it. Some of them I can't get past it. This is. But it's like, I just feel like it's such, like I've seen too many of these types of movies now that follow that style.
Right.
And I almost feel like it's a cop-out.
I kind of agree, too. I think, like, you know, I think if you do a found footage movie, you can still. I mean, I liked Cloverfield. I like this movie, but like everyone's chasing that Blair Witch vibe, and that was like a moment in time. That's like,
it's okay if a movie has parts to it like this, but I don't like it when the full movie is like that.
Right.
Like if you have like a 4 or 5 minute part of a movie that like in the first Halo game, basically, like where he puts the footage from the guy in the helmet that they find in Master Chief's head, and you can see what happened. And it's
Okay.
like the flood attacks, basically.
I was like, where is this going? But I was like, yeah, actually, yes, that's actually a really good example of
like that's like if you do like a 5-minute like flashback, like for information, what's going on here, type of thing. Like that's where it works.
yeah,
Whereas like if it's the whole movie, it kind of gets a little grating, and like I want to watch things that I can see and focus, basically.
yeah. There are so many movies that have been done. It was like, well, here's like some footage we found, and the people who filmed it are just never been found.
Yeah.
I don't know. Guess we're giving away the ending here a little bit. That's gonna get a little weird.
But
So,
I think we both give Troll Hunter a solid thumbs up, and
yes, yeah.
it's good. We're just a little bit more critical of where we rank movies because we have a fig fed where we have our 5s. Fig hunt time. Did you?
I did. Did you?
I fig hunted, but I came
You-
up empty.
Yeah.
It wasn't for a lack of trying. I was
You went
looking
troll
for the-
hunting and came up with no trolls.
I was looking for Gorsaurus and Rodan and just did not luck out. You mentioned on the last show, look at the back of the boxes for the Jet Jaguar
Yeah.
and the Burning Godzilla, and all of them did not have Rodan or Gorsaurus on them.
So you didn't
So-
find Gorsaurus or Rodan?
No.
No?
But I was looking for them, and I just came up empty-handed, you know? No, I went to crappy Walmarts, too. Like, I usually avoid them because
'Cause
they're
you-
terrible.
Because
But
you
I
know what that
didn't-
noise is?
That's Rodan.
That's Rodan pecking the microphone. Because I found Rodan.
Yes, you did.
I did. I found Playmates Rodan, the 1956 version. I think there's enough good Playmates figures to now say that this is a good figure line.
Yes.
I think this is the figure, and what appears to also be the Gorosaurus, where I go, you've done it, Playmates. I am no longer going to hold that original first run of weird Barracuda head Shin Godzilla and Mouth Guard Space Godzilla against you. I now look forward to your releases.
Salamander, not Barracuda. Barracudas have
Oh,
long-
sorry, yeah.
Those have long, thin
Salamander,
heads with
yep,
sharp
yep,
teeth.
yes, thank you. So, not only do we get a Rodan figure, we get the very elusive in figure format, and certainly completely elusive in terms of affordable figure format. 1956 Rodan, my favorite Rodan design ever. Very good figure. You kind of pointed out there's like kind of like some smoothing on the inside of the wings.
It has that patented Playmates, like the texture just kind of gets smooth in certain spots.
Right.
It's like when you're talking to one of your friends and you realize that part of their brain's probably a little smooth.
Oh, well, hey. Well, that's why I'm slick.
I wasn't talking about you. I was sort of just putting it out there as a hypothetical
Sure, yeah.
for a listener to say like, I know a guy like that. You know, I'm painting with colors.
That was a relatable comment.
Yeah.
So the sculpt is great. The mold is fantastic.
The head is awesome.
Super detailed, super movie accurate. The only thing that's articulated is the Rodan neck. I think for like the little pose that he's in, I don't think you really need anything else.
Yeah, he's in a standing pose, so it's not necessarily a flying Rodan figure like the NECA that I have, or that you have too. Yeah.
And this is like so retro that like when I was like looking around, I was like, where do I like put this? And like a My Godzilla versus the Tricephalon playset, I'm trying to not put too many figures like in that display. But this thing is so retro looking, and that set like is also so like retro looking. I put it on there and I was like, oh my god, like he fits perfectly with like, granted that's a 70s set, this is a 50s figure. But one thing of note is that there is a green stripe going down Rodan's back that does not exist in the movie, as far as I can tell. I've never been aware of a green stripe ever existing in Rodan's back. But I think, and don't hold me to this because I didn't really research it, I'm just kind of going from memory. I think there are you, listener, who, I don't know, would want to correct me, although nobody ever actually does that. So I guess we have cool listeners. But anyway, so I think there's actually an old Bandai figure that puts the green stripe on the back.
Yeah.
Those old Bandai figures in the 80s are not always known for their movie accuracy. I look up the original Gigan Bandai figure and have some fun with that. But like, if that is the case, that like this is like a little like, well, this old Bandai figure had it, so we should have it. I actually think that's like really cool. I think it's pretty sweet. So good figure. The Target that I got it at in our neighborhood, they are very good at restocking stuff. Even though like I have one now, like I think these things like those Burning Godzillas and Jet Jaguars were restocked constantly.
Yeah, they've been there for a while.
And I think with like a little bit of patience, like you'll get this, and we'll both have Gorosaurus. I feel like in no time. So
I'm hoping so. I really want the Gorosaurus.
Yeah, that's wild. I can't believe this Rodan figure looks so great. I love this design of Rodan. I'm really pumped to have the figure and to ultimately get that Gorosaurus. I have another Playmates figure in the mail that I should have had by now. Well, whatever. It's the Playmates Mechagodzilla figure. I can confirm it is actually coming my way now.
Oh, good.
I will probably have it by the time this episode airs. But I am very disappointed in the seller. If this is like the CU podcast, like the NES Punk podcast, I would do the scumbag seller of the week. Been chasing this guy for like a month to go like, dude, you shipping my figure or what? And I don't like. I'm very slow to anger with that sort of stuff. And
I give a 3-day window for everything I order. You have 3 days from me purchasing. If it's late at night, you have 3 days starting the next normal day. But and I do make late at night purchases fairly frequently. So starting the next day, you have 3 full days. If you just created the label and it hasn't shipped yet, you're a dick.
Yeah, I hate that.
You're just a lazy dick. There's no excuse. I know people who will defend it and say you get it when you get it, and that's their entire mentality. I'm just like, well, you're a jerk.
No,
don't sell things.
No, well then your feedback will reflect that.
Yeah.
So buyer beware. But so I'm hoping by the time we record our next episode, I actually do have that Playmates Mechagodzilla figure. I've been looking forward to getting that for a while because it's very articulated. And again, it's another good Playmates figure.
Yes. The spine is a little weird.
Yeah, but for
the most part, it looks like a solid figure, though.
I don't think there's like really on there. Well, if I came across like the Warbat Playmates figure, which I don't even think ever appeared in Walmarts around here.
If they did, there was one run, and I never saw them.
Some stores, like in some Godzilla like Facebook groups, I'm in, like some places be like in like Texas would be like, hey, I'm at my like local Walmart. You guys need anything? And it's like 20 Warbat figures, like nothing else. It's like, oh, we can't get one. But I'm not like dying to get that figure. If I saw it, I get it. But oddly, I want like the Arctic Kong because it's just like Kong is just covered in cocaine and just I want Kong Kane. I think that's what you said, right? Kong Kane.
Yeah.
I want which I think is like the obvious joke that like, well, not Kong Kane, but saying Kong's covered in coke. I think that was the obvious joke that everybody made, and for whatever reason, like I want that one last variant of Kong, and then I feel
you gotta get that Kong, and then have a dude wearing all black behind him with a shotgun. That's already
just and then like get like some other get like the big fountain from Scarface too, and then have Kong like face down in that.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like that's probably gonna be the end of like the GVK line in like when that variant of Mechagodzilla comes out. Yeah, I think that's going to be the end, and it seems like a lot of Walmarts have kind of stopped carrying the GVK stuff.
I think they stopped restocking them because I went to a Walmart and there was one of the face-up Kongs, or the neck-up Kongs, or not Kongs, fucking Godzilla.
Yeah.
There's one of those, and then there was one of the X Kongs that I have already. So it's like I can't buy these again because they're. I already have them.
Yeah,
like, get some different ones in here.
But that's yeah. So
that store stinks too.
Yeah,
it is the pits.
I hope like that last
the drizzling pits.
It's like I feel like those like last couple of figures are probably gonna like trickle in like here and there, but it seems like both blessing and curse is that like we're now probably moving towards like we're moving away from the Walmart exclusivity with the Playmates figures.
Good.
more into like the Target doing like the classic lines. You know, according to that interview they did with like Toho Kingdom like last year, it sounds like they're going to be like, you know, like a couple times a year we're going to be getting a couple new figures and stuff like that. I mean, Rodan and Gorosaurus came out of like nowhere.
Yes.
Remember, there was like no build up to it. Then all of a sudden they were just like, "Hey, these are for sale now." So, God knows we're gonna get like, you know, in December or something. Who knows?
Manda's coming up,
Yeah, it's gonna be like the most like Jet Jaguar.
and we're gonna get I bet you we get a Mothra.
I mean, at this point, for all I know, it's gonna be like Gazora from like Space Amoeba with how random they're going. Like, you know, like I never would think that like, all right, well, here's like what the classic line's gonna be: Burning Godzilla. I'd be like, okay, well, that makes sense. Jet Jaguar. And I'm like, oh well, a little random, but you know, yeah, he's having a little resurgence. Rodan, but the 56. I'm like, oh, well, okay. And then they're like, Gorosaurus. I'm like, what? I mean, that's awesome, but what?
It is, you know. I'm looking forward to more of the classic Playmates lines. And
Varan could be the next one, probably.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe the voting campaign will work on Playmates. I don't know.
Yeah, but let us know which Playmates figure you want to see next on the old Twitter. And if you don't, we'll know.
Titanosaurus. Do that.
Now it's time for the OIWF part of the podcast. At the end of the podcast, thank you for sticking around. We love you. Except you're ugly. That's right. I'm talking to you, listener.
Yeah.
Not you, Slick. You're not ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, right. A little bit of a slow week in the OIWF.
It was Labor Day.
Yeah, it was Labor Day, you know. Kids went back to school or something. It just seems like a lot of people were just taking time off this week. So, but just because people were taking time off does not mean the OIWF was totally shut down. There was still some inter-kaijudental action going on, wasn't there?
Oh, but of course there was. No, my side of the island does not celebrate Labor Day. We're a working side of the island. Not really, whatever. So I had Hong Kong Lights, Godzilla defending the IK title against Mechagodzilla and Mechagodzilla, Showa and Legendary.
Yes,
both
yep.
Bandai.
Yep.
Triple threat. I think that might be the first triple threat match I've actually worked out. And true to form, it had a lot of monsters going to the outside and taking some time off from what was going on the inside.
Yeah, my side of the island, when we did a triple threat, like, you know, all the action stayed in the ring for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know.
But, you know.
Are we brand splitting right now?
I think I was just doing a little bit more of a commentary on, you know, what happens in triple threats.
For
the most part.
Well, you know, we celebrate Labor Day on my side of the island.
Maybe that's it. It's not so much a brand split as just the Labor Day situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of back and forth action since it was no DQ. Kong came out, got his axe powered up, smacked Legendary Godzilla, which is how he dies in the movie too. Spoilers. And so, unfortunately, Hong Kong Lights Godzilla retained against both Mechagodzillas. Kong was there to back him up, and unfortunately, that was all it took.
There's a lot of unfortunate events, it sounds like, that happened here.
Yeah. However, coming up, I don't know if it'll have happened already by the time this podcast is announced, or released, but we have a grudge match, the second ever staring contest between.
Oh no!
It's the brutal one. GMK and Burning Godzilla.
Neither figure was the same coming out of that first one. They left part of their souls And that was you stare into the void and the void stares back.
Yes.
You don't come up the same.
Well, last time the Cursed Order was involved and cost, I believe it was NES Godzilla the match after a grueling 24-hour longest match in OIWF history. But now we have two non-Cursed Order affiliated Titans going at it and a war to settle the score. All over a simple ankle lock. That's all it took to drive GMK over the edge.
Did Commissioner Slick come out and go, there's only one way to settle this? War games. I mean, staring contest.
No, not war games yet. We're working on it. So, yeah, there's a staring contest coming your way. It may have already happened by the time this podcast drops.
Well,
I'm on a very loosey-goosey schedule. It happens when it happens.
I've heard from the OIWF powers that be that there will be some competition on the slicker side of the island for sure. By the time this podcast airs, it will probably be some contenders again trying to jockey for a position both either or in the world title picture or the Mid-Atlantic picture or the Mid-Atlantic title picture, because our champions need new challengers. And so we will continue to see who rises up the ranks here on this side of the island.
Wow. You're booking a wrestling show and I'm booking a TV show.
Television show.
A work rate. So if you can't tell, we're basically just doing major wrestling figure podcasts.
That's not true. They're doing OIWF stuff. My goal in 2022 is for us to have OIWF t-shirts.
Kind of like how the Dark Order is doing Cursed Order stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little odd, right? I mean, who's booking who here? We've left the kayfabe, so now we're just shooting now.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a half kayfabe, half it's a work shoot.
Yeah.
We worked ourselves into a shoot, pal.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I was like, oh, we're almost at that point where we should make podcast t-shirts that people could just get like on a made to order website. Then I was like, we should only have OIWF t-shirts to start.
Yes. Yes.
So with that,
and they should be NSFW too. I just wanted you to be like, no.
Yeah, no, I was like trying to picture what that could look like in my head. I didn't like where my head went.
It was clearly a terrible idea to tack onto a good idea.
Yeah, whatever.
We're not going to sell NSFW.
No,
we're a Godzilla podcast. Come on, have a little bit more sense than that. We're going to sell NSFW merch.
No, we're not. Don't listen to it.
I was just doing the Rick James thing.
Put that in your OnlyFans. So for next week or next episode, I kind of said off air that I think it should be the original Rodan movie or Varan.
I've been thinking about this for the past basically 2 hours too.
Yep.
After you dropped that on me, and I'm still a little undecided. I know which way I'm leaning, but I sort of want to pool your thoughts. Desert Island. You have to destroy one of these movies for all time, but you get to keep one with you. Which one is it?
Oh, well, I mean, Varan is a fantastic kaiju, but the movie is not good. So I would probably destroy the Varan movie. Plus, he makes a little cameo in Destroy All Monsters, so he's still around. So I would keep the Rodan.
You'd keep Rodan because it's a better movie.
Yes.
But you would destroy Varan for all time.
Yeah.
Okay. You just answered my question then. I was going with the crappier one. We're watching Varan.
Okay. And do you agree that we'll do both the Japanese and English versions?
I get the time Wednesdays, Fridays.
4 Sundays a year. I also think the American version, Varan the Unbelievable, is like, it's really short. I think it's like barely over an hour.
Okay.
Because they really hacked that movie down.
I have no problem watching one day and then watching another one the other day and sort of having a versus in my own. I'm not for the podcast theme, but like in my own mind, like which one I like better.
Yeah, well, I mean my like nutshell reaction is that like the Japanese one is like just it's fine but like dull outside of like, but Varan is like badass. Also it has like a very convoluted backstory to it as to like, well, I'll save that for the podcast, the very convoluted backstory how we got there, but like the westernized version is like literally trudging into like Plan 9 from outer space territory at points. The first half totally trudges into like Ed Wood type territory.
Yeah. Oh, and get ready for me reminding everyone that our intro uses clips for the ad for Varan the Unbelievable. That is going to be our version of the end of the edge of the ring is the hardest part.
And maybe the next episode will end with a song from our old band.
Could be.
Our old band that never actually broke up, so it's just still ongoing, just kind of like a...
We rebranded, but I feel like we should just rebrand back. We got it right the first time, but yeah, that'll do it for us this time. Do you got anything you'd like to say to listeners?